Pumpkin Patch, and welcome back to Days of Halloween. Today is Friday, and you know what that means. Streaming Fridays. I almost put my eye out with that thing. How does he do it? Every Friday here on Days of Halloween, we choose a different streaming service and make all of our selections from that particular one. This week, we are heading straight into HBO Max. So why don't we see what the home of The Sopranos and Game of Thrones has to offer? Our selection for the Halloween classic of the day, if you couldn't tell earlier with the glove, is the 1987 film Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Are you ready for Freddy, Pumpkin Patch? Because our selection today is a classic on any day. Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is considered by many, including yours truly, as the best of the Nightmare series. It is the first of the sort of sub-trilogy of films known as the Dream series. The Dream Warriors, Dream Master, and the Dream Child. All of these particular films have sort of a cohesive storyline. It departed from the tone that we had set in 1 and 2. This one dives a little bit more into like gothic fantasy, but it's very important that part 3 be recognized as the beginning of a lot of the things you know Freddy for. Absorbing the souls of his victims? Check. Being the son of 100 maniacs? Check. All the funny quips and the witty repartee that he has? Check. All of these come from part 3 and will continue throughout the series. It's really the first film in which Robert Englund is able to start showing his own kind of personality through Freddy. Which makes sense because this is the first film since the OG Nightmare where we get his magnificence himself, Wes Craven, back on the project. Most of this was him contributing to the story ideas, but one thing that he did bring us was Heather Langenkamp. She's back as Nancy Thompson. She was not in part 2, and we are so happy she was back. But unfortunately, Pumpkin Patch, don't get too attached because we're not going to see either one of them for quite a while. But ironically, when one returns, the other does. So, One other additional thing that's amazing in this film is we get Robert Englund back as Freddy. And that means we actually get Robert Englund back as Freddy. Because in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's only in the film for 13 minutes. Now, that was mostly done because New Line Cinema thought that they could just recast Robert Englund with just a random stunt double, and then after they started filming it, realized, hashtag not our Freddy, hashtag not anybody's Freddy. So they decided to come crawling back to Robert Englund to ask him to return back to the series, and he did, for more money, because he should definitely get more money, because of all the horror icons that we have, Freddy is Robert Englund. You kind of need the two of them together. The story for Dream Warriors is that we see Freddy Krueger return, which is, I know that's a shocker, because that's basically the story of most slasher sequels. The killer's back. This time Freddy's back, but he's bringing with him a lot of backstory. He's coming back with an origin story. He's bringing a whole bunch of stuff that's going to add to the lexicon of Freddy, starting here in Dream Warriors. Because my man is going full Dream Demon in this film. This movie sees a bunch of kids at a psychiatric hospital. They've been dealing with a lot of nightmares and a lot of problems just overall. But there's been one particular instance in which someone sees somebody with claws for hand chasing after them and trying to get them in their dreams. You know what you need? You need Nancy Thompson to come on back and bring with her all of her experiences from Nightmare on Elm Street, because she's going to take these kids and she's going to whoop them into shape and she's going to get them ready to take on his royal Fredness. But Nancy Thompson, aka my first final girl, is about to learn a thing or two that's new to her as well, because when you're in your dreams, you can have dream powers. And that, Pumpkin Patch, is going to be the game changer to use against Freddy Krueger. Because trust me, if you can go into the dream world and visualize and manifest your dream power, you have a better chance against Freddy Krueger. Like with me, I fantasize about hanging out at Cabana Bay Beach Resort down in Orlando and going through the lazy river all day long with Jessica, and then at night we go to Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, I don't know how that's going to really help against Freddy, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case, maybe Universal's watching. big fan. Team Jack! But ultimately, Nancy's gonna try to get these kids to all work together so that she can bring down Freddy once and for all. And she would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those pesky sequels! And our overlooked horror film of the day goes to the 2016 film, Ouija, Origin of Evil. Whoa, wait. I'm not talking about Ouija. I'm not talking about the first one. I'm talking about Ouija, Origin of Evil. This is a good one. This is the prequel, the one that's done by Mike Flanagan. This is the good movie. You can just not worry about the Ouija board movie, the first one. You can kind of skip that one if you want to. I know not everyone is a big fan of the first film. I mean, and rightfully so. The movie is not extremely great. It's got terrible pacing. It's got poor ideas. And there's no follow through with it. Which is funny because the storyline for Ouija and Ouija Origin of Evil is pretty similar. People use Ouija board. People get possessed by Ouija board. People kill people or themselves because of Ouija board. Just keep doing that. But Ouija Origin of Evil does something that the first one didn't do, and has something in its arsenal that most horror films don't have. You've got Mike Flanagan, who understands tension, he understands atmosphere, and he understands how to scare the hell out of you. This film also stars Henry Thomas, who Mike Flanagan's going to work with again on The Haunting of Hill House. So, this was the beginning of that great friendship that puts a lot of nightmares in people's heads. The kid from E.T. grew up. It got spooky. It got real spooky. The film very loosely ties into the previous film, the movie that it's supposed to predate, but you don't really have to see the first one to watch the second one. It's such a loose connection that honestly, you kind of don't miss anything. If anything, it does feel like this film probably came first, which is, I guess, the best thing you can say about a prequel. So if you've seen the first film, I highly recommend that you give this prequel a chance, because honestly, it's not like that. It is much, much better. Plus, if you haven't seen it, then just watch this one. I think you'll actually enjoy the prequel a lot more than you'll enjoy the original one. And honestly, if you've seen the first one and you want to learn how to forget about that, I can't really help you. Maybe, I don't know, ask the Ouija board? And our selections for the late night double feature picture show goes to the 1985 film Ghoulies and the 1986 film Critters. It's time for another two for Pumpkin Patch because we're going to cover both of these movies in the same entry. We're traveling back to the 1980s for the Ghoulies and for Critters, because these particular films have a lot more in common than your average picks for the late night double feature picture show. It's a little creature double feature, I guess, if you want to call it that. Both of these films are horror comedies. Both of these films are from the 80s. Both feature evil ankle biters. Both spawn franchises. Both have two of the most recognizable movie posters from that era. And especially in the case of Ghoulies, it's definitely not something you want to see pop up out of your toilet after you just did fourth meal at Taco Bell. But then again, if you're old enough to remember when these movies came out to video stores, then the scariest thing on this list is probably going to be Taco Bell itself. Critters is the more sci-fi of the two. It follows these group of furry little aliens that are very, very aggro and very aggressive and carnivorous as they try to escape from two shape-shifting bounty hunters who have to work with the locals to try to catch these creatures known as krites, or critters as we call them in the film. Ghoulies is far more fantasy. It has to deal with summoning these creatures called the Ghoulies, has to deal with resurrecting a wizard. It's definitely a lot more hard fantasy. But I know what you're thinking, Pumpkin Patch. I can read your minds from here. You don't even have to start commenting. I understand completely. These two films sound mysteriously like another group of small creatures who are extremely mischievous and evil. But don't worry, we'll try to cover Munchies next season. Our selection for Halloween and Other Media goes to True Blood, the HBO original series. So, if you've ever wondered what the world would be like if vampires kind of came out of the coffin and exposed the fact that they're real to the entire world, this is your show. But not like in a spooky way, in a like, hey, we're here and we want to move in next to you, and maybe like join like, I don't know, like maybe some book clubs or maybe like the PTA or something. Kind of way. That's the premise of this entire series, which is based on a series of books by Charlaine Harris called The Southern Vampire Mysteries. In this series, we see a synthetic blood substitute created that is able to replace anything that a growing vampire is going to need. All the vitamins, all the minerals, and that pesky having to kill people habits. So now that they can feed without having to kill people, they're going to buy their bottles of blood and the 6-packs, and they're going to come on down and they want to vote, and they want to just buy real estate, and they just want to be members of society. Because after all, vampires are people too. Or were people. Were? We're? Sorry, that's a different night. This series takes place in the fictional Louisiana town of Bon Temps, which translates from the French to good times. It's sort of a play on the catchphrase of New Orleans, Laissez les bon temps rouler. Ha! People make fun of the fact that I can't say directors' names, but you completely skip over the fact that I can speak French. Wait, no, I can't do that either, so never mind. I guess that's still about the point. The star of this show is Anna Paquin, who stars as Sookie Stackhouse. She's a waitress at a bar named Merlotte's. And this bar seems to have a new guy sitting at the end. A new regular, so to speak. I mean a new regular who's a 173-year-old vampire. But he is suddenly drawn to Sookie and finds himself in a romantic relationship with her because Sookie is telepathic. And also, she will end up being his wife in real life. So, I mean, maybe that had something to do with that. The show is absolutely fantastic. It runs 7 seasons. It's on HBO Max. Highly recommend that you give it a try. Give the first season or 2 just to watch, see if you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Amazing performances, and this bad boy was the Game of Thrones of its day. It was the first show since The Sopranos that really put HBO on the map for being able to make real good quality, consistent television. I mean, I do want to also point out the fact that this show got 7 seasons, and they're currently getting ready to reboot it, but what, Lovecraft Country can't get more than, just a couple episodes? Come on, HBO. What did I tell you the other day? You're better than this, so fix this. But I mean, also do the reboot. That's fine too. I mean, this show is really good, has a lot of legs, and still has a lot of fans to this day. It's a fantastic world, and I highly recommend that you check it out. That does it, Pumpkin Patch. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Days of Halloween, streaming Fridays. If you like this episode, give it a like. And if you like what we're doing here on the show, please, if you would, click or treat. That's where you like, share, subscribe, and you ring that notification bell. Also, stalk us on all the social media sites. But if all you ever do is watch these episodes and you enjoy them, then we're so happy. We love you, and we love sharing all of these. These things are going to be the... That's why they don't trust me with sharp things. They know what I'll do with them. But if all you ever do are watch these shows and you enjoy them, then we're so happy and we love you so much and we thank you so much. We love being able to share all of our spooky adventures with you, and we hope that you are having fun watching us, and also that you're having a fantastic spooky season. But thank you for watching, and thank you for riding with the Fall Horsemen, where Halloween lives and fall is forever. You are all in the pumpkin patch now. Is that how movie chemistry works? Like, I am not on my mark. Both of those particular things. Not just one, but both. Did I do that? I did it backwards. Is the camera falling? When I stop this, I've got to tighten that tripod. You know what? Just skip all of that. Don't use any of that. That's garbage. But Nancy herself is about to lose. It has something in its... It's like a... It's a little... It has to deal with creating these... Sookie. He says it weird. Oh, I didn't have a word for that. I just spaced on it, I guess. It has been years since I've seen the show. I forgot how to pronounce the name of the bar. I've got all these lights in my face. I don't know how movies work. How does this camera work?